The locker challenge is a great mathematical puzzler that allows students to utilize a variety of mathematical content. In this challenge, the participants are presented with a scenario involving lockers in a school's hallway that change their state, being open or closed, depending on who walks through the hallway. The challenge has 4 difficulty levels: Beginner, Explorer, Navigator, and Trailblazer. All 4 levels in this challenge are based on the same scenario. However, the level of complexity differs based on which students walk through the hallway and change the state of the lockers. Each level encourages collaboration, critical thinking, justification, and develops problem-solving strategies. In the challenge, the lockers are numbered in the order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. The students who will walk through the hallway are numbered in the same way. When the challenge begins, all the lockers are closed. All students who participate will follow the rule for their number. For example, Student 1 opens every locker. Student 2 changes the state of every second locker. If it was open, Student 2 will close it, and if it was closed, Student 2 will open it. Student 3 changes the state of every third locker, and so on. In the beginner level, 100 students numbered 1 to 100 walk a hallway with 100 lockers. This task can be completed by participants using a brute force approach, writing out the numbers and marking them open or closed after each of the 100 students pass through. If the participants choose this approach, it is important that they reflect on the solution before moving on to the Explorer level. However, if there are participants struggling to begin with the challenge, or they seem to be overwhelmed with the amount of lockers to be considered, you may pose a question such as, what happens when students 1 through 10 walk through the corridor? What do you notice about locker 1? What do you notice about locker 2? What about 4? 5? Is there a pattern of open or closed lockers? In the Explorer level, the scope of the task is extended to 1,000 lockers in the school for all 1,000 students who attend there. The task is to find out which lockers would end up being open if all 1,000 students walk through all the halls of the school without passing the same locker twice. The Explorer level task is easily accomplished if the participants identify the pattern of the beginner level. The following questions may be helpful. How similar are the first and second tasks in this challenge? How different are they? If the participants are still struggling, suggest they go back to the first part of the challenge and consider the open lockers at the end. Did you notice a pattern? In the Navigator level, we go back to the first hallway with 100 lockers. The only students whose numbers are the perfect squares between 1 and 100 will walk the corridor. These are students 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and 100. The task is to identify the lockers that will end up being open once these students are done walking. You may need to remind the participants that all lockers are closed at the beginning. Questions such as, what happens when student 1 walks through the corridor? And are there any students who will have to open or close the same locker? Can help the struggling participants get started. When working on the Navigator level task, the participants may not take into account that some perfect squares are multiples of other perfect squares. For example, 16 is a multiple of 4, so locker 16 will be opened or closed by students 1, 4, and 16. We stay in the corridor with 100 lockers for the Trailblazer level task. In this final challenge, the participants need to determine which students should walk through the corridor in order for all odd-numbered lockers to end up being open. Understanding the properties of numbers is key to solving this task. With that said, it is critical that the participants end up taking time to answer the warm-up questions. Which students should walk through this corridor in order for all lockers to end up being open? Which students should walk through this corridor in order for prime-numbered lockers to end up being open? Which students should walk through this corridor in order for even-numbered lockers to end up being open? Don't forget that the Facilitator Guide includes information about setting up the challenge, additional supporting questions, as well as common misconceptions and obstacles participants may encounter throughout the challenge. In this document, you will also find solutions for each level. Thank you for facilitating the Locker Challenge. We hope you have fun.